Shalom Akim. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect. And this lesson is going to go into the greediness of Esau Edom. This is 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 8. Actually, I'll start at 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Money itself is not wicked. As a matter of fact, in the book of Ecclesiastes 7, and I believe Ecclesiastes 10, it speaks about how money is the defense. Alright, but along with money, you gotta have wisdom. Alright, and you gotta have the fear of the Lord, because it can rule you as opposed to you ruling it. And money rules E. Okay? This is another reason how we know he's going to get judged. Now it says, reading it again, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare. Esau has fallen into a snare many times over. Alright, he put his hands upon the Lord's elect, as we're gonna grab in. As I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it, but when you go into, him coming in the spirit of Cain. Alright, greed, greed, him coming in the spirit of Cain, greed. Alright, he had to have everything. So it says, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. Alright, he is actually the son of perdition, the son of wickedness. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. Alright, the scriptures say in Sirach 31 of how those that coveted after money, you can't sleep. That's all that you're thinking about. Your riches. Okay? So when we go throughout the lifespan of this devil, as I'm going to get in Genesis the 4th chapter, him coming in the spirit of Cain. And let's just get it. It says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, Genesis 4:1, which the word knew, meaning he had sex with her. As a matter of fact, let's get it in the my sword. Alright, so this is the word knew, meaning to know, to perceive. Yeah, these shits is off. Alright. But it says that Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain. Alright. So he had sex with her, and she became pregnant and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord, from Yahweh. Lord in all caps is Yahweh. Now Cain, right, which proves that he came in the spirit of Esau. Cain in the Hebrew is Quayun, meaning smith. Alright, and when you go into the book of Psalm 17 and 13, it speaks about how the wicked is the Lord's smith, the Lord's Quayun. Now, who is the wicked? Now we got to couple that with Malachi 1 and 4. The scriptures say, whereas Edom is impoverished, he said, if I will return and build greater, then the Lord calls him the border of wickedness. Okay? So Esau, the wicked, or Cain the wicked, same spirit. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering, meaning his sacrifice, he had not respect. So here it is, which back then the laws were oral. They weren't necessarily written down in stone, but you knew it. Case in point, it was a point in time where Cain and Abel, they knew that they had to give tithes to the Lord. Which tithes meaning tenth. All right. So you give a tenth part and you keep 90% of your earnings. That's very fair. But you see, Esau, he wanted all his substance. He didn't want to give anything to the Lord. All right. Knowing that the Lord requires particular birds or animals. Esau knew that, but Cain knew that, but he chose to give fruit as if that would suffice the Lord. So just proving a point that this man was always about his substance, always worshiping that which he had, never willing to give anything up. Okay? And we go to Genesis 36, and let's see. I'll start at the top so we get understanding. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughter of Canaan, all right, which Isaac constantly told his sons not to take wives of the Canaanites. Adah, which again proves that the law was oral, because in the law it says to not take wives of other nations, lest they'll remove your heart from serving the Heavenly Father. So it says, and Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite, and Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter's sister of Nabajoth. And Adah bare to Esau Eliphaz, and Bashemath bare Ruel. So Esau's, Esau's son, right? His first baby boy, was named Eliphaz. And when you look up the word Eliphaz, it says Alaf Pas, meaning my God is fine gold. You see? So this devil always worshiped his substance, his gold, his money. Okay? Now, with that, when we fast forward a little bit into the future, well, a lot into the future, I might add. You go into the time of the conquistadors, right? And go look it up for yourself. I got it here. Why did they come over here to the Americas? All right. Which they said, they were searching for India, some bullshit. But this is why they came over here. This is a famous quote from the devil Hernan Cortez, a conquistador. It says, "I and my companions suffer from a disease of the heart, which can be cured only with gold." You see? And we just read, riches have been the ruin of many. All right, let's get another one actually. Right, did I let me see, read that again. Yep, 1 Timothy 6:9. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, a trap, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. Okay? You get in Esau's way, alright, that's your ass. As a matter of fact, the brother Kalab in the camp, he did a lesson maybe about a few years back going into how this devil is still mining to this very day for gold over there in Dominican Republic. Okay? Now, fast forward even further, which that was around the 1500s. Fast forwarding even further, there's a video that I frequent. I talk about it from time to time. It's called "All Wars Are Bankers' Wars." Now I'm gonna only play 5 minutes of it, and you're gonna see, all right, that his devil was all about his chips, so to speak. He was all about his money, his substance.
Explained the motive for the assassination. Now I want to share a story with you, and this is actually an article that I wrote over the weekend called "All Wars Are Bankers' Wars." And I went in, I did a lot of research. It's posted to the front page of whatreallyhappened.com. I understand it's already gone viral. It's being reposted around the web. But I wanted to basically tell it to you here on the radio show. And it's a very long story. We're probably going to take the rest of the hour to do it. But it's something that you need to understand. That all of these wars and assassinations that we're told are crazed lone nut assassins, or weapons of mass destruction, or bringing democracy, all of them track back to the private central bankers as the initiating event. And the more you study this, the more you will realize all the wars are wars for the bankers, for the private central bankers. And I know a lot of people are going to have difficulty comprehending this. Just how many of these wars we have fought as a nation were fought for no other purpose than to force private central banks onto nations that did not want them. So we're going to have a few examples so you understand why at this particular time in history the United States government is mired in so many wars against so many foreign nations. And there's plenty of precedents for this. Now, going back to the beginning, the United States fought the American Revolution primarily over King George III's Currency Act, which forced the colonists to abandon their own government-issued currencies and conduct business only using printed banknotes borrowed at interest from the Bank of England. If you go back to the writings of Ben Franklin, direct quote, "The refusal of King George III to allow the colonies to operate an honest money system which freed the ordinary man from the clutches of the money manipulators was probably the prime cause of the revolution." That's Ben Franklin. Now, our public schools don't teach that because you're not supposed to know that the bankers were really behind the American Revolution. After the Revolution, the United States adopted a revolutionary, radically different economic system in which the government issued its own value-based currency so that private banks couldn't skim the wealth of the people through interest-bearing banknotes. So the American Revolution was fought primarily to free the American people from King George III's Currency Act, which ordered them to conduct all business using printed banknotes borrowed at interest from the Bank of England. So the Bank of England was just, raking in wealth from the labor of the American people in exchange for ink and paper. And that fueled the anger that led to the American Revolution. Your public schools don't spend a lot of time on that, but that was really what it was all about. So the revolution was over, the United States was born, but the private bankers are nothing if not dedicated to their schemes to acquire other people's wealth, and they knew full well how easy it is to corrupt a nation's leaders. Now, just 1 year after Mayor Amschel Rothschild had uttered his infamous, "Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws," private bankers succeeded in setting up a new private central bank called the First Bank of the United States, largely through the efforts of the Rothschilds' chief supporter in the United States, Alexander Hamilton. Now, this First Bank of the United States was founded in 1791, and by the end of its 20-year charter, the First Bank of the United States had almost ruined the nation's economy while enriching the bank's owners. As a result, Congress refused to renew the charter and signaled their intention to go back to a state-issued, value-based currency on which the people paid no interest at all to any banker. This resulted in a threat from Nathan Mayer Rothschild against the U.S. government. Quote, either the application for renewal of the charter is granted, or the United States will find itself involved in a most disastrous war. End quote. Congress still refused to renew the charter for the First Bank of the United States, whereupon Nathan Mayer Rothschild railed, quote, teach those impudent Americans a lesson. Bring them back to colonial status, end quote. Financed by the Rothschild-controlled Bank of England, Britain then launched the War of 1812 to recolonize the United States and force them back into the slavery of the Bank of England's banknotes, or to plunge the United States into so much debt they would be forced to accept a new private central bank. And the plan worked. Even though the United States won the War of 1812, Congress was forced to grant a new charter for yet another private bank, issuing the public currency as loans at interest, the Second Bank of the United States. Once again, private bankers were in control of the nation's money supply and cared not who made the laws or how many British or American soldiers had to die for it. So once again, the nation was plunged into debt, unemployment, poverty by the predations of the private central bank, and in 1832, Andrew Jackson successfully campaigned for his second term as president under the slogan, Jackson and No Bank. True to his word, Jackson succeeded in blocking the renewal of the charter for the Second Bank of the United States of America. And this was where that famous quote came from Andrew Jackson. Quote, gentlemen, I too have been a close observer of the doings of the Bank of the United States. I have had men watching you for a long time, and I am convinced that you've used the funds of the banks to speculate in the breadstuffs of the country. When you won, you divided the profits amongst you, and when you lost, you charged it to the bank. You tell me that if I take the deposits from the bank and annul the charter, I shall ruin 10,000 families. That may be true, gentlemen, but that is your sin. Should I let you go on, you will ruin 50,000 families, and that would be my sin. You are a den of vipers and thieves. I've determined to rout you out, and by the eternal God, I will rout you out. End quote. Andrew Jackson. Shortly after the charter for the Second Bank of the United States expired, there was an assassination attempt.
You know, and man, you know, as I listen to it, it just pisses me off. But this is E, and this is why the Most High is going to destroy this devil. Okay? And he's not going to stop. He's not going to stop till the Most High takes him out. He's the Lord's sword. You know, he was created to destroy. He was created to be destroyed as well. One of the ways we know he was created to be destroyed is his greed. You know, greed can only take you so far. You know, as they say, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. All right, the scriptures say how he wants to set himself up as the Most High. All right, thinking that he is the Most High, but that's going to get him hurt. All right, to this very day, now nations are leaving him. All right, his own, country is falling into shambles. All right, best believe those Edomite elites, they fighting against each other. The European ones versus the American ones. You know, the Russian elite versus China elites. Well, I say Russia and China is cool, but like the Russian elites, versus the American elites, because it's so damn greedy. And this is how we know for a fact that RFID chip will be pushed. He was a murderer from beginning and the bold not in the truth. All right. Hey, it's going to be a lot of death to get that RFID chip to roll out, man. That's also going to be one of the reasons why I personally believe that's also going to be one of the reasons why World War III is going to pop off. All right, because a lot of people is not going to be in cahoots with this devil's turn of the century, so to speak, his revolution. Which, when you go into the word revolution anyway, it means insurrection. That's normally how it works, as we just saw. All right, you bring a nation to its knees by waging war, And once war is up, America thinks, as they normally do, they think they're going to win, in which case you're forced to bow down to their rules, their laws, their regulations. But it's not going to work that way. All right? Scriptures say he has appointed a bounds where you devils cannot pass. So when you go ahead and try to put chips within us, that's a no-no. The scriptures talk about how you can't pluck the elect out of the Lord's hand. The scriptures also speak about Exodus 21:16. All right, which also proves. Let me grab it, okay? Exodus 21:16. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, not necessarily going into gold, but a slave is also a commodity. You're trying to, you stole us. These devils did steal us, along with these other nations. They're gonna get a foot put in their ass too for 1,000 years. But Esau, Edom, he's gonna get it the worst. The scriptures say in Isaiah 14 of how he shall not be buried with them. Okay, these other nations gonna get a foot put in their ass. The Most High is going to have mercy upon him. But Esau, when you go into the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, it says he is the man that shall receive. He's the only nation, Esau, Edom. All right, which Edom is the lineage of Esau. All right, the nation of Esau, known as Edom. They're not going to receive no repentance, no place of repentance. All right, Hebrews 12 tells us that. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, well, if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And this is Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah speaking. All right, because you can't give up that commodity. All right, hey man, the Lord is just. The Lord required, he said enough is enough. Even within our law, he said, a man will serve you for 7 years if he wasn't able to pay off his debt. And after that 7 years, his debt is paid off. Esau want a fucking 30-year mortgage put on your ass. You constantly paying for car insurance, with interest. Car note with interest. And that's wicked. So the Most High is going to come and rectify things. All right. Let's get ended out with this. Say Sirach 31:5. He that loveth gold shall not be justified. What are you going to say to the Lord when he comes to meet you, man? And he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. Gold hath been the ruin of many, and their destruction was present. It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice into it, and every fool shall be taken therewith. So, with that, Lord willing, you are edified. Shalom to the elect.